The brand new Yonex Astrox 88S Pro, 88D Pro. It's slimmer, it's shorter, but it's harder. Allow me to explain. This is Ian from Northwest Badminton, ProRacket.net. Let's go. So basically, I will break it down into three parts. First part will be cosmetic, second part will be the major changes and the technology into these two new rackets, and the third part, of course, racket real-time testing. So let's start with coloring. So basically, the main color for these two rackets will be blue, gold, and black. On the 88D Pro, it comes with more gold than the blue. Of course, on the other hand, 88S will be more blue than the gold. Now definitely, it's in gloss finish because it's an Astrox series. So beside from Astrox 100ZZ, all the high-end Astrox series all comes in gloss finish. For me personally, I think the 88D Pro will shine a lot more on court because the lighter color of the gold definitely will be a lot more attention on court when the light shines on your racket. Now, if you go for the 88SD Pro, well, it's a little bit more conservative, but still, it looks very nice. About these two rackets, the technology, they are a major difference. But before we go into that, I would like to say something to Yonex. The names of the racket are getting longer and longer and longer. Astrox 88S Pro, Astrox 88, blah, blah, blah. It's a mouthful. Probably next time when you come up with a new racket, please come up with a shorter name. Otherwise, as a racket reviewer, I will keep making mistakes of saying the wrong thing. Put that aside. Let's move on to technology. So there's a lot of major differences between these models and the older models. We will start from the top to the bottom. So we're gonna start from the frame. Talking about the frame, the major difference will be it's a lot wider. But from where? The wider part actually starts from 1 o'clock and 11 o'clock. So basically, Yonex this time, they engineered to make the racket a lot wider from the top. So then when it comes down to the side, of course, it's gonna be a lot more circular shape, which allows players to have more forgiveness and to enhance a bigger sweet spot. But on the other side, with a bigger sweet spot, usually you will lose some focus on the power control side. But Yonex are claiming that because of the new grommet design, it actually gives you more control. Let's go into details about the grommets. So with these two rackets, it comes with a very new frame called Aero Box frame, but the shape, it's kind of like a razor frame. So a razor frame is what you see on a 800, NanoFlare 800, but it actually happens on the 88D Pro and the 88S Pro. I mean, to be honest, I would just call them Pros from now on. So the Pros comes with the razor frame, but in a Aero Box frame design. Confusing? Slightly, a little bit. So what they are saying is they make the grommets a lot wider than before on the side to make the string move a little bit more so that it allows to have better hold of the shuttlecock, and that actually gives you a lot more power. Just like tennis, when the holes are a lot bigger, when the ball comes in and it stays a lot longer on the string, it gives you more spin. Same thing on badminton. But one thing that comes into, which brings into my attention is, when there's more hold, you actually lose a little bit of control. Because if you think of this way, when the ball or the shuttle comes in and is sucked in too much, you actually lose some accuracy. But Yonex is actually claiming you actually increase and gain some control. Probably need to get it tested to verify what they're saying. Moving on to what we call the major differences. So the major differences is actually happening on the 88S Pro. So right now, the 88S Pro grommet design and the stringing pattern is actually 68 holes. In the past, it's always 76 holes. Now on the 88D Pro, it's still 76 holes. So I will not go into details about that. Now, 68 holes actually gives you more forgiveness because the string and string, the spacing between are a lot bigger. But in theory, your string should break a little bit easier because there will be more tension and more pressure on the string when you hit the shuttlecock. As for a tighter spacing, just like the 76 hole or even 88 holes on some rackets, the string tends to last a little bit longer. Now let's move on to one of the most important part of a racket, which are the T-joints. So the new T-joints that built into these two pro rackets are actually a new material called the VCR. What are VCR? VCR basically enhance the performance of the rotational generating system. So basically, it's a heavy racket. When they add in the weight from the bottom to the T-joint to the top, it basically evens out the balance. So when you swing, you feel a lot lighter, just like an even balance racket, but you still get the head-heavy smashes and the power generates from the racket. So that's rotational generating system. Now with the VCR, what are VCR? VCR are called volume cut resin. So basically, it's a new material that basically makes the rotational generating system works a lot better. Mouthful. But it's a very important part of the racket because the T-joint actually gives you a lot more torque and it actually holds back and make the racket a lot more stable. So it's a good thing that actually improved the T-joint on the new models. So the shaft and the cap on these two rackets are actually exactly the same. I won't say exactly the same, but it's the same idea and the same design from Astrox 100ZZ because they come with a shorter length of shaft but a longer length of grip. Now the cap endorsed from the 100ZZ, it's Energy Boost Plus cap. So what Yonex are saying is these caps...
Energy Boost Cap Plus.
Sorry, Energy Boost Cap Plus. Sorry guys, I'm working overtime right now. Right now it's 12. Actually no, it's almost 1 o'clock, but hey, you know, we got these new models in, we gotta let you know. Sorry. So it's Energy Boost Cap Plus. These cap basically helps let the shaft a lot more stable, and then you can actually make a lot more changes, a lot more finger techniques when you use these new caps. Now I want to talk about the shaft relation and the grip relation. So what happened is they make the grip a lot longer, make the shaft a lot smaller. That's why in the beginning I said it's shorter, it's slimmer, and it's harder. So when the shaft is shorter, you actually feel the stiffness even more. But why slimmer? Because it actually makes these shaft into the extra slim shaft. The previous model is actually super slim shaft. Do you notice the difference? One is extra, one is super. Well, in Yonex, the slimmest is actually hyper, and then it's extra, and then it's ultra, and then it's super. So actually, the previous model has the thickest shaft in the advanced models of Yonex. But anyway, the new Pro Series comes with the second thinnest, aside from 100ZZ. So it's supposed to be very, very easy to generate power. The reason why you generate more power is because when the shafts are shorter, you actually generate more speed from your swing. Now, speed and power always come into a positive relation. But what happened right there is you have to generate more power from your body rather than letting your racket helps you out, because when the shaft is a lot shorter, it's harder for you to feel the head weight from the racket. So I will say the point to take away is it actually offers you more control than power. It's because when the shafts are shorter, it's easier for you to control, especially when you're in front of the net or when you're serving double serves, which are very crucial when we start a game. Now, we're gonna bring these rackets down to the club to test it out. We're gonna put Aero Bite Boost on all the rackets, including the older models and the newer models. I'm gonna string them at 26 pounds, and let's see how they perform. And I'll give you a detailed, honest opinion what I think about these rackets.
We've been driving around, singing songs way too loud because we wanna. Picking up all our friends, fill up the car till it bends because we wanna. Yeah, we just wanna have fun. The trunk's full of wine. We're gonna stay up, have the time of our lives. The night is young.
So Jared, what rackets are you using right now?
Right now I'm using the Voltric Z-Force.
What kind of weight? Is it 3U or 4U?
4U.
4U. So what kind of string do you put on?
I use an Energy 95 at 27.5 tension.
So when you try out these two rackets today, how do you like them? Do you like the D better or the S better?
I think the D is more similar to my racket, like a more exaggerated version of the Z-Force because it's pretty heavy and very powerful. The S is a lot lighter, so you lose a lot of power in that.
So if you get a chance to switch, will you switch?
I would probably switch to the S just because I don't think I can keep up with how heavy the D is.
So in general, you like the Astrox 88S Pro better than the D?
Yeah.
And compared to a Z-Force, do you think it's going to be better, or you still think Z-Force performs better than than the new rackets?
I think I'm just so used to Z-Force that I've been using it for so long that it would be tough to switch. If I were to get one, then I would switch to S.
Hi Adrian, what racket do you use right now?
I use the Astrox 77.
What kind of weight do you use, 4U or 3U?
I use 4U.
So, trying out these two rackets, do you like them?
Yeah, it was actually really nice, I think, to try the new technology and just to see how they use science to kind of evolutionize the racket.
So do you think, now they make the shaft a lot shorter, do you think that makes a difference comparing the new one and the Astrox 77?
I think it was hard for me to really tell the difference, but because my racket I feel like was more equal in balance, when I was playing with the D, I did feel it a lot heavier. So I could feel that there was a difference, especially when I was playing in the backcourt.
So they actually make the head a lot rounder, a lot more isometric, so the sweet spot is bigger. Do you feel like it's more forgiving or it's the same?
I think it was actually a little bit more forgiving, which I really appreciate.
So if you get a chance to switch, will you switch or will you stick with your Astrox 77?
I think I'm open to trying new things, and so I would be open to switching to the D. I really enjoyed it. I felt very powerful out there. Who doesn't like to feel powerful?
Do you think female player will be able to handle the Astrox Pro Series?
I really think they did. I think they tried to cater towards a lot of different people, and so I think based on how well I could play out there, and this being my first time ever touching even this series, it felt really good, and it was really easy to pick up on, so I really appreciated it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Steven, what racket do you use right now?
I use the Astrox 88S.
The newer version?
The newer version, yes.
The newer version, so it's a new color.
Yes.
Okay, do you like these two rackets, the Pro Series?
They're okay. I thought the S was okay. I did not like the D at all. I felt that from a overhead swing, it was a lot harder to use, but I actually felt pretty good on anything that was a drive or kind of from downward up. That was actually pretty easy to use playing with these rackets.
As an Astrox 88S player, they actually changed the Grommet pattern into 68 holes instead of 76 holes. Do you feel a massive difference on holding the shuttle, getting better control and more power?
I had better control in terms of what I wanted to hit, like in terms of the slice, but smash-wise, I felt I was losing power actually when I was using the 88S Pro.
So if you get a chance to switch, will you switch or will you stick with the original 88S?
I like the new color of the 88. I actually like that a lot. So I think at this point I probably wouldn't switch to these based off what I tried today.
Cool, thank you Steven.
Thank you.
After trying out the racket, I have a lot of thoughts to share with you guys. So I'm gonna start with the S Pro first. So the S Pro, surprisingly, the shaft is very, very good. It's very responsive. Probably one of the most responsive shaft I ever played with. When you play drives, it's very buttery. You don't have to push a lot. You can feel the shaft bend and help you push out the bird, which was so easy for me. And I really liked it and I enjoyed it. Now, as for slices or drops or even backhand slices and reverse slices, because of the 68 hole design on the S Pro, definitely the shuttlecock on the string will have a longer friction, and then a bigger friction, I mean. So it's easier for you to play a lot more control shots. But the downside about the S Pro is you will lose a lot of power, at least for me, because this racket, when I swing it, it's just too light compared to the older model. Probably it's because they cut the shaft short a little bit. So the swing is just too fast. So you have to add a lot of body weight into the shot. And for me, I really don't like it because sometimes I like the racket to help me out a little bit more. So it will be a lot easier for me to play. But today, based on the tryout today, it doesn't do that. So you have to add in a lot of your own swing speed and a lot of your own power into the S Pro. So if you're buying the S Pro, I will recommend the 3U version for you. But if you're looking for a lighter racket, but you don't want to go for the headlight version, the S Pro 4U will definitely be suitable on your hands. Now, about the D Pro, I will say hands down one of the best racket I ever played with. The new tweaks, the new design, the new frame, everything. It's very good. Compared to the older model, it was a lot easier for me to swing it. You don't lose any power, you gain a lot more control, and it's just great. And it looks good on court. The gold color on the racket shines on court. When I brought it down to the club, everyone loves it. So if you are going for the D version, 4U will be enough for you. And you don't have to go for the 3U version because it will be a little bit more heavier. Now to conclude, if I'm gonna rate these two rackets, I'm gonna start with the S Pro. So S Pro, control-wise, I'll give it 9 out of 10 because it's definitely really good. Power-wise, sadly, I think it's 4 or 5 out of 10. I will give it a 4 actually. And color-wise, definitely 9 out of 10 because they do look good. Now D Pro, I will give it 9 out of 10 for control, 9 out of 10 for power, and then 10 out of 10 for the looks. That's just based on what I feel today. These rackets are very hot right now in the market, and Yonex USA are already out of stock. So if you want to get your hands on when they first come out, remember to go pre-order it on proracket.net, or you can come in store to Northwest Badminton, fill out the pre-order forms. You will get free stringing and the free 3-pack super grab. And this is Ian. Hope you like our content. Comments down below. Subscribe to our channel, Facebook page, Instagram, and any questions, let us know. I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.